Hello, welcome to this week's vlog. This week I want to take you along with me as I reset for spring Q2. This is my spring reset that I do at the end of March. Get ready for the warmer weather. I have a few things that I like to go through on a quarterly cadence. One of those is certainly having a full quarter reflection, kind of looking back at my main highlights and learning lessons. Definitely a bit of like an admin reset day as well. Knocking out a few one-off to-dos. While I do have a pretty good routine in terms of maintenance, I do think that there's these one-off tasks and chores that get pushed off really easily. We'll take a look at my bullet journal, and I think we'll do a little flip through of Q1. I recently changed up my bullet journal style, so it's like a little bit more free flow and scrapbooky compared to how I've done it in the past. Maybe I'll be able to fill in a little bit of clips here to show how I used to structure my weekly setup. You'll see now that it is much more loose and I'm trying to incorporate more pictures. I do only print out pictures when I have a full document, a full paper. So I pencil in a little bit of placeholders until I get that full sheet. I've really been loving this. I think it is more versatile and more friendly for memory keeping, and I definitely enjoy looking back on my week to week. I've also incorporated more journaling, so this has been a nice little way of doing check-ins with myself each week by having a reflection once a week that I can take stock in what's going well, what I want to focus on for the coming week. And I'm really trying to make this more of a way of expressing gratitude and joy in my life. I have a separate notebook that I do morning pages in. So if I have something that I want to vent about, that's where I would go for that. I also track my reading in my bullet journal. As you can see, I have each week I'll put in where I'm at for each of the books I'm in the middle of. And if I start a new book, I indicate that with an open circle, and if I finish a book, I indicate that with a filled in circle. And I'll track how many pages I read for the previous week. And it's just a fun way of seeing how much I'm reading each week. I just do this because I like it. So that is my journal so far. Now, I'd love to take a look at my Q2 spring reset page. I'm going to go ahead and set that up with you guys. First, I will do a winter reflection, and here I'll just do a little bit of long form journaling. It wasn't a super busy season, which is great. I do feel like I learned and grew a lot within this past season. It's nice to just kind of take stock and reflect and really reinforce those lessons that I learned. Then looking forward to spring, I will set up my spring goals. This is going to be mostly some fun goals. I usually try to keep this focused on my hobbies, my passions. So that'll include things like fitness and reading. More recently, I have been trying to get into watching older movies. So I like to make a little to be read and to be watched list, as well as any other events I might be trying to go to, any type of activities I want to try to incorporate in the spring. Done with my reflection, and I want to take a pause on my plans for now. I want to first finish some of the to-do list items that I have had lingering for, if not a month, multiple months. One of that is actually my dining table. Oh, also I did have a change of outfit. I took the sweater off because it was getting quite warm in here. I have to address this dining table, our little catch-all for things that just don't have homes. I also have this little book section here that has become my little up next TBR. I do need to swap some things out here, refresh for the spring season. Okay, so what we have left here is this lives here, this lives here. This string of lights has a couple that are out. I want to look into figuring out if I could fix it. This is my sewing kit. This lives here for now. This is a box of jewelry that needs to be repaired. This purse also needs to be repaired. So I need to look into finding people that can do that. That is a project that I am tackling this week. In terms of the books, Spinning Silver, I never ended up getting to this winter, and I think I just want to save it for next winter. I just picked up Two Towers and A Psalm for the Wild Built. Nope. This is the sequel, A Prayer for the Crown Shy. These two I'm planning to get to soon. And then Poetry of Emily Dickinson was a gift from my mom. I feel like poetry feels very spring, so I'm going to leave that out as well. I don't see myself getting to either of these this season, so we'll pull those. I'm going to pull The Wife Upstairs as well. Okay, and we are adding If Not Winter. I just picked up City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I haven't read anything by this author, and I've been meaning to check her out. And then from my bookshelf, I have a few borrowed books that I want to get to. I'm going to start with Life Ceremony. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Which I guess is Blade Runner? Yeah, the novel which became Blade Runner. All right, and that is what we're working with for now. The next thing that I want to address is my papers, my miscellaneous papers. I keep them tucked in this little organizer behind my monitor, so I never have to look at them. They are getting a bit out of hand. I'd like to address that as well as do some general admin on my computer. So we have things to be discarded, things to action, and things to action urgently. Okay, it is now dark out. As you can see, we are wrapping up day one of this spring reset. I just wanted to do a little bit of a check-in on my winter goals. These are like kind of like a mix of to-do list and just things I wanted to try to fit in this quarter. I basically finished my entire winter TBR, so that was really exciting. The one book that I have left to finish is If Not Winter, which is a poetry collection by Sappho, an ancient Greek poet. I got about halfway through before I needed to return it to my library, and I just got it back. I want to try and wrap that up hopefully this week so I can call my winter TBR officially complete. I'm really excited to see that's like the most successful TBR I think I've had in a while. I did want to make a point to go thrifting. I'm trying to thrift my wedding dress. I went to a couple places. I did not find anything. I barely even found wedding dresses, honestly. That is something I'm going to try to keep an eye out, try to continue doing going into spring. I might need to start looking online, but I do think it would be helpful to maybe do some more try-ons and get a stronger sense of what I really want if I'm going to be ordering something online. The other goal I completed was visiting museums. This sounds like a silly goal, but I wanted to make a point to take advantage of the cultural and historical art collections that we have in New York. It's something that I just like feel like I go so long without doing if I'm not intentional about it. I actually managed to go to two museums. I went to the Met and the MoMA, both of which I've been to before, but it had been a while for each of them. So that was fun. Those are pretty much the only goals I completed, to be honest. I have a few things that I am working on currently that I am hopefully going to finish this week. One is curating a list of venues to check out for a wedding. I am looking in a pretty broad range. I want to narrow down the list a bit more. It's way too many to start with. I think I'm almost in a good place with it. My project management certification I'm working on a capstone for. I would like to finish it this week. It might go over, but I am pretty close to being done with it. I am trying to transfer my Spotify music to YouTube music. That is something I've started but not finished, so I'm hopefully going to be able to handle that this weekend. I am working on reinvesting my 401k. I transferred it to a new holder. I just need to figure out how I want to reinvest it. So that's again something I will be addressing this week. And then the last two things are the repairs for my jewelry and my handbag. The handbag I inherited from my partner's grandmother, so it's a vintage leather handbag, and I looked up places on Reddit for recommendations. Sent out a few inquiries today to try and get some more information, hopefully get some quotes. For my jewelry repair, that I'll just go local. I have a couple places in mind. That's actually pretty much it for my winter goals. Hopefully I don't have to carry over too much and I can just kind of start fresh. So that's what this week is all about. Wrapping up these plans that I had made in winter, closing that out so I can start new projects in the spring. Thanks for coming along with me for day one. Hope we'll be able to make some progress in the next few days, and I will check in with you again and let you know how it continues. It is March 31st, so that means it's the last day of my Q1, last day of my reset, and then we are officially kicking off spring. Even though spring technically started last week. Everything's made up anyways. These deadlines are arbitrary, so. I was just eating this leftover onigiri and thinking about how in Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and I think it's like the early 1900s in Korea, they are like trying to get rice for her to have on her wedding day, and they like can't get rice because there's like a food shortage. Yeah, I just think about that sometimes. I don't eat white rice too often. Eating white rice right now and thinking about like how filling and satiating and grateful and I am to just be able to have something simple like white rice pretty much whenever I want it. And not much has made me more grateful for life than reading that book, because it just highlighted a lot of the simple pleasures that we take for granted, and I think I actually kind of want to reread it at some point. I only read it a year ago and I think about it still often. Anyways, Pachinko's a great book and onigiri is delicious. Okay, I'm gonna run over to the post office and try and make it there by 5. It might be cutting it a little bit close. And then I am also gonna try to stop by a jewelry shop and see if I can get some of my jewelry fixed, since this has been on my to-do list for literally months. Hello, I am returned from my errands and adventures. I was able to hit the post office, jeweler, grabbed a couple groceries, and dropped off my library books. Since then, I've been home. I got a snack. I just wanted to now check in with my to-do list for Q1 and where we're at. Over the weekend, I finished going through my wedding venues for the stage that we're at with our list. Oh, I did my investments for my retirement. I basically ended up choosing a bunch of mutual funds for the most part. And then the other project I was working on was converting all of my playlists and like songs from Spotify to YouTube Music. It was a very time-consuming process. There are things you can pay for that supposedly make it easier, but I just kind of did it with, I think it was called like Soundiz. It was very random, but I was able to transfer 200 songs at a time. So yeah, it was a little time-consuming, but I got it done. That was like kind of a brain off project that I did over the course of the weekend. The only other thing is my capstone for my certification. I did finish a couple more modules. I have 2 left. I think I'll finish one tonight, and then I will literally have one left to finish probably over the next couple of days. All right, welcome to the end of the video. So we are officially in Q2. It's the first day of April. So I wanted to just quickly wrap up how everything went the past few days. I'm so glad that I made this my focus because I was able to finish so many lingering projects that really have no true deadline. And I just wanted to clear the slate a little bit. I didn't mention this, but I did really need to clean out my downloads folder and my phone. I cleaned out my laptop, my phone, and my PC for miscellaneous downloads, as well as transferred all my photos from my phone onto my backup drive. I have created a little bit of a clean slate there as well. I was able to drop off my jewelry to get repaired, so that is in progress. I can go pick it up tomorrow. I am just so happy to have that finally off my list. That's one of those little things that just, because it's not urgent, just doesn't get done. So I'm so happy to have that and to have those pieces back that I can now wear again. That'll be great. As far as the handbag, I did at least figure out what I need to do with it. So the handle itself can't be repaired. It's going to have to be replaced fully. The cost will differ depending on whether I get it done with a typical generic leather or if I get it done with like an alligator leather to match the bag. So that is something I have to consider. I also want to get it conditioned, but I at least know my options and I have a few places to consider. So that's my next steps, figure it out at least. I think that mostly covers everything. I feel like I was maybe a little bit all over the place, but this was a really helpful video for me to film and gave me a little bit of accountability in an area where I just wanted to get myself sorted out. I feel like I'm in a really good place going into spring. I feel like my space feels cleaner and ready to use, which is a nice feeling. I also put together a really nice TBR list for the spring that I'm really excited to get to. And I have a whole bunch of holds in at the library now that are coming in quickly. So definitely some reading videos coming back soon. Thank you so much for watching the video and coming along with me. Let me know if you do any sort of resets for spring. I know a lot of people do general spring cleaning. If you've made it this far, please leave me some sort of spring related emoji, maybe a tulip, maybe some other flower. I can't think of anything else that's spring. To me, tulips equal spring, and the tulips are already starting to bud around our neighborhood, so it's really delightful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video.